Anthropic has announced they're adding an invisible watermark to all their models' output. This is very real. It will probably not be easy to bypass, but I want to talk about how this is not new. It will have major implications in the short term, but ultimately I think it'll turn into a big nothing burger. So this has all been triggered by the EU. They're now demanding that all model makers watermark the output of their models so it's detectable as AI-generated content. And all the major labs, with one notable exception, have signed a letter agreeing to do this. Not just Anthropic, but OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, Mistral, Meta. You could probably guess the one company that refuses to sign, but of course, it's Elon Musk and XAI. But what no one seems to remember is that Google's been doing this since 2024 with SynthID. And in fact, it looks like OpenAI will be using that same SynthID technology to watermark their output. Now, it's understandable that your first thought might be that this would just be easy to bypass. I'll just copy the output from Claude and paste it into Google Docs or something. But these invisible text watermarks are actually pretty sophisticated. One example that someone posted on X about how a company might do this is splitting all the words in the English language into two categories. And then the model can simply prefer using words from one category beyond what you would expect from probability. But ultimately, I don't think this is going to matter. Google has already told us multiple times that they don't care if the content you write is created by AI. But even if they did, it's very unlikely they would evaluate your content by looking for one of these watermarks. Consider how easy it would be to just use Grok or one of the open-weight Chinese models to draft your content. If Google started penalizing watermarked content, they'd effectively be boosting any content that was written by those other models. And it's not just Google. Other institutions are going to have the same problem. Anyone who starts relying on these watermarks to detect if content is written by AI will just be easily fooled by any model that doesn't watermark their content. And this is true even if we don't come up with some tool that easily removes the watermark. Also, keep in mind that this watermark is applied not just if AI wrote the content, but also if they edited the content. So both the false positive and the false negative rate are just going to be too high to be reliable. My guess is these model makers are happy to oblige the EU because they know it's going to be meaningless in the end. Personally, I think it would be fine, and maybe even good if we could reliably watermark content that was created by AI. At the end of the day, unless you're trying to trick people into thinking your content was created by a human, which I think is unethical, as long as you're just delivering information about your product or service, I don't think people care if AI helps write the content. And as more and more of the high-quality content online is written by AI, people are going to care even less. So we might ultimately decide to have another model draft our content. Claude is just now starting to speak in jargon and riddles, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to matter.